The cold wind swept across the quiet German countryside, rattling the bare branches of old oak trees and whispering through the narrow dirt road that led to a small, isolated farmhouse. Lukas Weber had lived there alone for years, far from the nearest village, far from people, and far from the memories he wished he could forget. He preferred it that way. Life had taught him that attachments only led to loss, and loss had a way of carving deep scars that never truly healed. That evening, the sky was heavy with dark clouds, threatening snow. Lukas was about to close the wooden shutters when he heard something unusual, a knock at the door. Soft. Weak. Almost swallowed by the wind. He frotze. No one came out here. The knock came again, slightly louder this time, though still hesitant, as if the person knocking expected rejection. Lukas slowly walked to the door and opened it. Standing there was a woman, wrapped in a thin, worn shawl that did little to protect her from the cold. Her face was pale and tired, her eyes carrying a deep sorrow. Beside her stood a small boy, clinging tightly to her coat, his cheeks flushed from the freezing air. Bitte, we need shelter, she said in a soft, trembling voice. Just for the night. Lukas studied them carefully. They were strangers, clearly not from around here. Their accents hinted at a distant place, their clothes worn from travel. Refugees, perhaps. People the nearby villages often turned away without a second thought. I don't take in strangers, Lukas replied firmly. The boy lowered his head. The woman didn't move. We won't stay long, she said quietly. My husband, he died last winter. We've been walking for days. My son is very tired. Her voice didn't beg, it carried dignity, even in desperation. Lukas felt something shift in his chest, something he hadn't felt in a long time. He tried to ignore it. There's a village about 3 kilometers from here, he said. They might help you. We went there, she replied. They refused. Of course they did. The wind grew stronger, and the boy stumbled slightly, his small body swaying from exhaustion. The woman steadied him, but it was clear she had little strength left herself. Lukas hesitated. He had built his life on distance. On silence. On rules that kept pain away. But as he looked into the boy's tired eyes, something inside him began to crack. With a quiet exhale, he stepped aside. One night, he said. You can stay until morning. Relief washed over the woman's face. Danke, she whispered. Inside, the farmhouse was simple but warm. A fire burned steadily in the stove, filling the room with a gentle heat. The boy moved closer to it immediately, stretching his hands toward the warmth as if rediscovering something he thought he had lost. The woman lingered near the door for a moment, uncertain. You can sit, Lukas said, his tone softer now. She nodded and guided her son to a chair. What are your names? Lukas asked after a while. Amara, she said. And this is my son, Elias. Lukas, he replied simply. Silence settled between them, but it was no longer uncomfortable. The fire crackled, creating a sense of calm that felt almost unfamiliar. Then Elias looked up. Why do you live alone? He asked innocently. Amara gently tried to quiet him, but Lukas shook his head. It's all right, he said. He thought for a moment. Because it's easier, he answered. Easier than what? Elias asked. Lukas stared into the flames. Easier than losing people. The room grew still. Amara didn't say anything, but her eyes showed understanding. She knew that kind of pain. That night, Lukas gave them his bed and stayed by the fire. Sleep didn't come easily. Old memories surfaced, faces he had loved, people he had lost, moments he wished he could change. But something felt different. For the first time in years, those memories didn't feel as heavy. Morning arrived quietly. Lukas woke to the sound of soft humming. Amara stood by the window, singing a gentle melody in a language he didn't understand, yet somehow it felt comforting. Elias was awake, watching her with a peaceful smile. For a brief moment, the house didn't feel empty anymore. You should leave soon, Lukas said, though there was no harshness in his voice. Amara nodded. Yes. You've already done so much. But as Elias stood up, he stumblit. His face was pale, and his breathing seemed weak. He's been ill, Amara admitted softly. For several days. Lucas felt that familiar tension return. There's a doctor in the village, he said. They won't help us, she replied. The truth in her words was undeniable. Lucas looked at the boy, then at the road outside, then back again. Something inside him shifted. Get ready, he said. Amara blinked in surprise. What? I'll take you to the doctor, Lucas said. They may refuse you, but they won't refuse me. You don't have to. I know, he interrupted. But I will. The journey to the village was cold and quiet. Lucas walked quickly, determination in every step. When they arrived, people stared as they always did, but Lucas didn't care. He went straight to the doctor's house and knocked firmly. Help the boy, he said. The doctor hesitated, glancing at Amara and Elias, then back at Lucas. Something in Lucas' expression left no room for refusal. Hours passed. Amara waited anxiously, whispering prayers. Lucas paced outside, his mind restless. Finally, the door opened. He will recover, the doctor said. Relief flooded Amara. Tears streamed down her face as she thanked him again and again. Lucas felt a weight lift from his chest, a weight he hadn't realized he'd been carrying for years. Later, as they prepared to leave, Amara turned to him. Why did you help us? She asked. Lucas looked at Elias, now resting peacefully. Then back at her. Because someone should have helped before, he said quietly. It wasn't the full story, but it was enough. Amara smiled gently. You've changed our lives. Lucas shook his head. Maybe you've changed mine. They parted ways at the edge of the village. Lucas stood there for a long moment, watching them disappear down the road. He expected the emptiness to return. But it didn't. Instead, there was something new. Warmth. Hope. When he returned home that evening, he didn't close the door right away. For the first time in years, he left it slightly open. Because sometimes, a single act of kindness does and just saves someone else. It brings you back to life.